皆さんこんにちは、キミチャンネルのロレッタです。今回はなんと1ヶ月間以上月1回しか投稿できないというふうに思っている人結構かなりいると思うんですけど、ワークブログ、その毎日の生活の様子とかそんなものは撮影してたんですけど、その編集できるまではちょっと時間がかかると思うんですけど、その前に実はですね、今日はですね、もうタイミングから見るともう本当に2週間しかないんですっていうのが日本語能力試験JLPT。 皆さん毎日勉強してると思うんだけど、毎日勉強してると思うんだけど、今回は5分休憩としてアドバイスを一緒にちょっとシェアしましょう。なぜかすごい早口だったんだけど、日本語聴解はもうこれで終了です。日本語最後英語にします。 Short and sweet. 3 pieces of advices that helped me get ready for the JLPT, especially for the N2 and the N1 levels, but for everyone involved. Number 1, vocab, the GOE section. At this point, right before the test, we have about a few weeks left. It is time to stop learning new things, or at least stop focusing on it. Whatever you have left to study that you haven't studied yet, I promise you, at this point, it's not that important. The thing about the JLPT is that it does not matter how much you know of Japanese. You don't have to have a huge vocabulary. What you need to have is the ability to know what you know really well and to be able to recall it really quickly. So all of that deep learning you're doing, learning each word one by one and going through lists and studying stroke order and kanji, that's great, but the time for that is over. What you need to do now is start reviewing. Whatever you've already covered, divide that into your remaining 2 weeks or however much time you have. Divide that into the time that you have and start looking into that every single day. Honestly, at this point, the stuff that you don't know, it probably won't be on the test, and you could probably guess it if need be. But what you do know, you need to be able to know it really well and really quickly. Say it with me now. Recall, recall, recall. Total recall. No, but seriously though, you need to be able to know what you know well and fast. So at this point, what your studies should look like every day is at first, you should be looking at a piece of review of something you've already done. Review what you already know and make sure that you're comfortable, that it feels warm and good and familiar and like home. That's the stuff you need to be doing first. And then if you have time at the end of the day, add in a little bit more of those new pieces that you hadn't got to yet. But more than anything, review is what you need. Recall, review, recall. Especially for those few of you who are taking the N1, you specifically do not need to know that much new material. There are going to be 6 questions that have to do with vocabulary and kanji, and the rest of it is all going to be how quickly can you listen and understand it? How quickly can you read? So honestly, for 6 questions, forget vocab. Move on. Start reviewing and start working on the other stuff. Number 2, for the reading section, it is now time for what I called Blitzkrieg Benkyo. Blitzkrieg. You gotta go lightning fast. I've noticed a lot of my friends on social media and also here at home as well have been studying really hard and really intently every day, doing reading passages, underlying as they go and doing a great job and showing really good effort. But the point is, in this last 2 weeks, last minute study, you gotta stop. It is no longer time for that because what you gotta do now is called Blitzkrieg Benkyo. You in fact need to know how to not read, how to skip, how to skim. The JLPT does not care if you read every word in the passage, they care how quickly can you read top line and answer the questions. So when you're practicing every day, instead of doing one passage or a few passages and underlining and doing this really deeply, what you need to do is as many passages, about 4 or 5 different practice readings, and do that as quickly as possible. Something more like 4 or 5 different short reading passages in about 20 minutes. And here's what's going to happen. You're probably going to fail. And that's fine. I was talking to Boomer and he's currently studying for the N2 very intently every day. And when he does the practice reading portions, he does very well. But when he actually does the practice test timed in school at language school, he seems to just, for some reason, get terrible scores. Like it just doesn't match up with what he's doing at home. And he's like, it's the same material. Why isn't it working for me? When you're studying at home and you have each time to go over every word and savor it, you have all this time to think about it. That's not what the JLPT is like. For the JLPT, what you need to be able to do is look at as many passages as possible and just glean what you need as soon as possible. Obviously, you need vocabulary. Obviously, you need to know grammar. But at this point, what you really need to be able to do right before the test is to be able to skip. You need to know how to skip and how to read read quickly. So this Blitzkrieg Benkyo that I call it is a technique that I learned the hard way through university here in Japan. When I first started, they handed us every day like about 200 different pages of tiny ink splatter print font kanji homework. It was an impossible amount of things to read in the short amount of time that I had, just like the JLPT. But doing this kind of blitzkrieg reading every single day actually was what taught me how to read in a way that allowed me to pass the JLPT N1. What that forced me to do was to learn really quickly how to read in a way to get the information I need without having to focus and stop for too long. And here's how. Number 1, read the questions first. This will give you a hint of what you need to look for. In addition to that, read the underlined portions first. There's less of this in the N1 and the N2, but in the N3 JLPT, there are more underlined sections that they're looking for. So read those questions and those underlined portions first. Then after that, read the first paragraph. For every paragraph after that, read the first sentence and the last sentence and anything that's underlined. And then read the last paragraph. Then go in and try to answer the questions. Do not try to read it line by line, word by word, or you're never going to finish it. Questions, underlines, first paragraph, first sentence, last sentence, first sentence, last sentence, first sentence, last sentence. The JLPT will try to throw some tricks at you, so if there's an underline, try to read around those sentences as well. But honestly, try to read just the minimal skeletal level of what you're seeing. Beginnings, the ends, beginnings, the ends, beginning, the ends, and then go back if you need to. Number 3, the listening portion. Before you take the test in 2 weeks, it is now time. You need to do a practice listening portion. If you're not going to do any other practice test, you should do the listening. This is the very specific one where the format is so weird. I'll post a link below to some of the official free examples that you can use along with the answer keys, but honestly, you do not want to miss questions on the listening portion just because you're not used to the format. It's very quick and it's very weird and it's very tricky if you're not used to it. So this is the time to practice the listening portion. One of the most helpful things you can do towards the end is to make a tic-tac-toe, make a plus sign when you're doing the listening sections. You'll turn the answer book and you'll find a completely blank page. When that happens, immediately draw a tic-tac-toe. They're going to start talking about 4 different options. They're going to go forwards and backwards and mention the other one. They're going to name each option. It's like the name of a mountain or the name of a trail or the name of a venue or whatever it is going to be. There's going to be 4 options with a name. Put the name on each quadrant. When it comes to the actual answers, they're not going to refer to the options by name. They're going to refer to it by some weird detail that you wrote down in your 4 quadrants. So that's why you need to take specific 4-pieced notes. Moral of the story, to make it really clear, in the last few weeks before the JLPT, it is time to stop learning new things and start reviewing what you already know. You need to be quick. You need to be able to recall. For reading passages, do not focus on one cute one every day. Cram in as many as you can into 20 minutes, 4 or 5 in about 20 minutes, and fail, have trouble, struggle. Do it now before the test and get used to the actual feel of doing the reading quickly. For the JLPT, it's not about how much little bits of vocabulary you know, it's about how quickly can you recall it, how comfortable are you with it, and how confidently can you get those answers quickly on the page. Today is the day. Today, turn off YouTube, shut it down, do a listening practice. There's a link below, you can click it there. And finally, the very last thing you should do, besides don't forget a pencil and an analog watch, a snack, and some water, the very, very, very last thing that you should do for the JLPT is go to sleep. I promise you, you will do better on the test if you sleep rather than if you cram. It is more important that you be rested, that you be able to recall, and that you be able to do it confidently. And that only comes when your brain is at 100%. So no more cramming, no more all-nighters. You don't need it. You need sleep, let me tell you. More than anything, I just wanted to tell you guys you're gonna be great. I believe in you. You're gonna be great. じゃあ皆さん、今日もご視聴ありがとうございました。I'll see you guys next time in a new vlog. Seriously, good luck. You got it. You got it. You got it.